FSN Radio. It's all about what's next. Go to financialsurvivalnetwork.com and sign up for your free weekly newsletter. You'll also get 3 free reports. The Financial Survival Network. It's all about what's next.
And welcome. You're listening to the Financial Survival Network. It's Kerry Lutz. And, well, it's 2015. People starting to get serious about the presidential race. But first, we've got former Congressman John Leboutillier with us. And horrible thing happened in Paris today. If you didn't hear about it, terrorist attack. Hey, John, how are you? Happy New Year.
Happy 2015, Kerry. I was going to say it's going to be a great year, but our first show together starts out with at least 12 people murdered.
Yeah.
Clearly by some fundamentalist Islamic group, maybe ISIS,
right,
in Paris.
Mm-hmm.
And we got to now wait and see if, and the guys, at least 4 shooters did it. They're on the lam. They haven't got them.
Right.
Are there going to be more attacks? Is this more than one attack yet to happen? We don't know.
Yeah, this publication had done something cartoon about Muhammad a while back, and
well, I think they did another thing recently, which is the leader of ISIS, al-Baghdadi. They mocked him. Now, apparently, they mock. They mock everybody in this magazine: left, right, Christian, Muslim. Doesn't matter, but the fundamentalist Muslims don't like having Muhammad mocked, and you take your life into your hands. Ask Salman Rushdie, who didn't even mock him, but what he wrote was considered to be traitorous, and so they put a fatwa out on him.
Yep. And
so we've had attacks in Denmark, as I remember.
Right.
Other attacks in France. We had the soldiers killed down south in France a while ago.
Mm-hmm.
This is treacherous stuff, and it has a big picture to it, which is we are at war with one swath of Islam, Kerry. It's fundamentalist Islam.
Mm-hmm.
And it includes the Muslim Brotherhood. It includes Hamas, Hezbollah, ISIS, the Iranian regime, all these whack jobs. They can all say, well, we're a little bit different than the other one. They're not. They're all the same, which is they will kill Christians and Jews at the drop of a hat. And when they do it, they believe they go to a higher station in heaven for having done it.
Yeah.
And that is just crazy stuff.
Yeah, and they attacked these Hebdo offices in 2011, burned them to the ground, and, they've always been after them. And, look, the Muslims always come back and say, but look, you're going against the Muslims like CARE. They say, you're anti-Muslim anytime you speak out against the fundamentalists. And, the fact is, they're providing cover for these guys. They really do. And, look, if you're either against the fundamentalists or you're for them, you got to stake out your position now. And for people who say these people are not a threat, or they're CIA, created, however they got here, I don't care. They need to be eliminated. They need to be wiped off the face of the earth. We've been fighting this battle here, John, for hundreds of years, going back to the Crusades. And in these people's minds, we're still fighting the Crusades.
Oh, absolutely. Kerry, I saw the Brad Pitt movie Fury in November.
Mm-hmm.
The World War II movie where he's running a tank, and it's about the tank crew that he's the sergeant of or something. And he's got a line in there where he says, we're about to go into Germany, and we've got them on the march, but we've had a whole lot of killing done to get to this point, and there's going to be a whole lot more people killed before we finish this thing.
Mm-hmm.
And that applies here. I hate to say it, but the only way to deal with these fundamental Muslims is to kill them before they kill us or our friends or our loved ones.
Mm-hmm.
And this is rough stuff. These people play rough. And for our president, for instance, to go to Cairo in April 2009 as a brand new president and to use his power of persuasion on the then Mubarak government to have the Muslim Brotherhood brought out of the shadows and allowed to attend his speech was the beginning of a new wave of this nonsense where the Muslim Brotherhood was legitimized by the White House good housekeeping stamp of approval. They then went and ran a revolution, blew out our friend Mubarak and that government that was friendly to us, took over the place, installed radical nuts in every government job.
Yeah.
And we're ruining Egypt. We're ruining it until, thank God, the military said we can't take this, and they ran a counter coup, and they've got control again. And what they've done now in Egypt is they said no Muslim Brotherhood, and I believe they've said that every Muslim Brotherhood person that they capture, they're going to execute them.
Correct.
They're going to eliminate this cancer before it spreads again. And we have to realize this is the mentality we have to have. ISIS needs to be eliminated. They need to be slaughtered. It's the only way. A whole lot of killing has to go on in order for us to win, to quote Brad Pitt.
Yeah, it really is true. There's no other way. And to think that that somehow you're going to like sort them out and bring them over to your way of thinking, don't believe it.
No way. Ain't going to happen.
Can't be done. Can't be done.
Not happening.
Yeah.
Not happening.
So, hey, on to more lighter subjects. So the Republicans are now running the show in Congress, and somebody beat up Harry Reid because they're not happy with that, evidently, huh?
It looks like he got beat up. God.
Oof. It looks like he went 12 rounds with the old Mike Tyson, huh?
I know. And, he's had these things before.
Yeah.
And I wonder about them.
Yeah.
I'm a big workout guy. I work out every day on treadmills and weightlifting and stuff. I never had these things happen to me. I never fall off stuff and have my eyes bashed. And I wonder if
I use those bands, and they've never snapped and caused me to have broken bones in my face. I got to tell you that one. That's an interesting one there.
Yeah, it is. It's very odd.
Yeah.
I mean, we're talking about Nevada, which is mafia up all over the place.
You think?
Is there a chance that this guy got beaten up for some reason?
Yeah.
No, I don't know.
Yeah, well, he's not saying, but he definitely knows too much. We know that.
That's right.
So
anyway, Harry is now the minority leader, so he's got somewhat less power. Now, in the Senate, the minority still has a lot of power.
Oh, yeah.
But he's got a little less. And the question for me, as I look at this, is the Republicans now have a few weeks, not even months, they have a few weeks to set the agenda here for the year legislatively and therefore politically. If they don't do it, Obama will continue to dominate the news. Mm-hmm. And he will be determining. Now, during the lame duck session, since the midterm election, the Republicans had gone silent. I didn't hear a peep out of them since November 4th, really, about what are we going to do when we take over and what is our agenda. And during that time, this vacuum was filled by Obama with his lurch to the left, normalizing with Cuba, a pollution deal with China, the immigration executive order, extending talks with Iran on the nuclear program. All this stuff went on, and there was no Republican counter proposal or anything. They're non-existent. Mm-hmm. And if they act that way here, as they now run the Congress, if they let Obama run the agenda, they're going to get slaughtered this year. They have got to take charge. Don't be anti-Obama. Be pro-America. Come up with policies to fix the health care, fix immigration. I watched McConnell give an interview. He couldn't help himself but attack Obama all the time. Well, we're not letting Obama set our agenda. We're setting it. Mm-hmm. And I'm sure that's true, but you shouldn't say it.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Unless they grow a spine, we're looking at just more of the same and, no agenda, and they're just going to drift and become a mockery, really.
Well, what will happen is if they can't do some good stuff, or look like they're doing some good stuff anyway, they are going to give the Democrats and Hillary Clinton and whoever an argument in 2016 that the Republicans can't run the government. You can't let them back into the White House. Mm-hmm. And this is crucial that we do a good job this year as running the government. Forget politics. Come up with some stuff that the people like.
Yeah.
Fix the thing in Obamacare about what is a full-time and a part-time job. Yeah. Fix that so people are not being reduced in their hours at work to get health care. This is crazy. Yeah. And you'll have an ally. You have an ally in big labor when you do it. They're on our side on this thing. Yeah. And they hate the 40-hour work week being eviscerated by Obamacare. Wouldn't it be ironic if the Republicans rode to the rescue of big labor and the 40-hour work week? Maybe they could score some points by doing this.
Oh, there's so much, John, that they can do to repair Obamacare. Let's talk about that up next on the Financial Survival Network.
FSN Radio. It's all about what's next.
People have been using gold and silver to protect their wealth for thousands of years. Shouldn't you? That's why I go to Cloud Hard Assets. Tom Cloud has been in the business for 38 years. Call him now at 800-247-2812. Tom's service is outstanding, and you can buy with complete confidence. Order today, and you'll have your metal in your hands in 10 days or less. Tom takes the guesswork out of what to buy, and you'll buy at the lowest possible prices. And as a special to FSN listeners, you'll get free shipping and insurance. So call Tom today at 800-247-2812. That's 800-247-2812, or find him on the web at cloudhardassets.com and tell him Kerry sent you.
The Financial Survival Network. It's all about what's next.
Hey, in case you just tuned in, we are speaking with former Congressman John Leboutillier and fixes to Obamacare, total revisions, economic recovery, things that the Republican Congress can do this year to try to set the country right, things that they can do that Obama really can't veto because he's threatening to use his veto pen. But John, the whole country despises Obamacare. Look, if the court doesn't strike it down on the whole subsidy issue, then they're going to have to do something. And even if the court does strike it down, they're still going to have to do something. So no matter how you figure it, they got to do something, right?
Right. No, here, first of all, let's go big picture for a second.
Yeah.
What we don't know yet is, will the Congress and Obama have a new tenor between them of cooperation? Mm-hmm. Is there a way, for instance, they could negotiate on Keystone and get Obama to say, all right, if you give me X, I'll sign Keystone? Yeah. Is that possible? He wouldn't do it, obviously, when the Democrats had the Senate, because he didn't need to. But now, with the power being up on the Hill in the Republican hands, a normal president would play ball with the Republicans. They would work together and cut deals. And the country wants deals. The country wants stuff getting done. They hate this gridlock. So we don't know. The first shot out of the box yesterday, the White House said we're going to veto Keystone. Okay, great. That could just be a negotiating ploy.
Easier said than done.
Yeah, he can veto it. He will veto it, I gather. But then the question is, A, can we override the veto, which I think we have a shot of doing? Or B, if we can't override it, can we then trade it for something else, with the budget, with health care, with whatever? I don't know. That's just one of my items that they've got to do. That one, they got to do immigration, cries out for something. And now that we Republicans have the power to run the Congress, it should be our immigration plan, not Obama's, that we push for. And we should take it to America once we get a plan. This is the other thing. They don't have a plan, but I have a plan. I had a plan. It's a very simple plan. Mm-hmm. We have 20 million illegals in this country, most of them here for quite a long time. Yeah. My plan is the following. A, obviously, we seal the border up before we do anything. But assuming you could seal it up pretty block tight, and that's a big assumption, but let's say you did, then you address these 20 million illegals that are here. And my deal is, if you came here years ago and you've been here a long time and you're an adult, world and all that.
Right.
We're not going to deport you. Let's be practical. It's not going to happen.
No.
But because you came here illegally, you can't be a full-fledged American citizen with the right to vote, because that's a special privilege that is either earned by being born here or going through the proper legal immigration process. Mm-hmm. Breaking your way into America, Kerry, cannot be rewarded with this privilege of voting.
Absolutely.
So what I would say is, our plan should be, if you've been here a long time and you're an adult, you can get a green card, which will allow you to stay here and work here legally. You'll never be deported. You're here. You're not an American citizen, but you're here legally.
Yeah.
That I think would satisfy most people except the left, because what they want is they want all these people to be legal. They want voters. They want Democratic voters.
Yeah. Well, it's just an undocumented Democrat is an illegal alien. Let's face it.
That's right.
They're just undocumented Democrats.
That's right.
But, you got to have some sense here. And let's get them green cards because they're working anyway. Let's have them pay taxes. Stop stealing other people's identities. You know that happens.
Exactly. Yeah.
I mean, come on.
If they follow the law. Then my addendum to that is the kids who were brought here as children, who were brought here illegally, but they were children. They had no say in the matter. They've grown up. You and your listeners and I have paid for these kids' education and health care.
Of course.
And we have invested in them. In their heads, these kids are Americans. They've gone to school here. Their friends are here. They're Americans. I would let these kids become American citizens. Absolutely. Yeah. I have no problem with that at all.
I'm inclined to agree with you on it, John. It's really a question of just getting it done, making it palatable to the public, and make them pay something too. Make them pay $5,000.
Well, that's all fine. No, that's fine. That's all part of the thing. But they don't get to pay $5,000 to get on a path to be an American citizen. That ain't happening. In my view, it's not right. Yeah. And if I were a legal immigrant from India, who waited years in line to get through this arduous process, and I had the happiest day of my life when I got sworn in as an American citizen. Yeah. To have that undercut and cheapened by people who wouldn't do it, cut the line, broke the law. It's not right.
Not right.
Not right.
And
not right.
Even still, what amazes me, John, is that people from China are still coming here, wealthy people from China coming here, getting green cards, and, they want to be in the United States, even though they made their fortune in China. They can't wait to get the hell out of the place.
That reminds me of something. My mother was dying a couple of years ago, and we had round-the-clock nurses taking care of her. And the head nurse, this woman, Renee, worked in a nursing home in Queens, New York. She would do a little bit on my mother, but she had a full-time job. And she was telling me that in this nursing home, she found out that there are these Russians who come over here, land at Kennedy Airport here in New York, and someone greets them and hands them Medicare and Social Security cards right at the airport.
That's correct.
And these are not people who want to have these things. They shouldn't have them.
Oh, yeah. I heard the story. Haitians coming here, and they're given, they have kids, little kids, and they immediately find out where to get free formula and diapers.
Oh, my God. This
is what happens here, John.
Yeah.
This is it.
Yeah.
This is the America that exists today, and it's currying votes, and it's just like the ward bosses of yesteryear. The Irish would find the newcomers a job. Tammany Hall is what I'm talking about. You're just off the boat. Let's find you a job. Let's find you a place to stay, and that's what would happen, John, and it's not that much different, except that it's more corrupted now. I don't know how to describe it exactly. It's just more, it's more seemly than it was back then, just more pernicious, because back then it was kind of privately funded. Now they're using the public coffers buy the votes is what it comes down to.
That's right. That's right. Yeah.
That's what it comes down to. And it's just evil. And but I agree with you. We got to deal with it, but the borders got to be sealed off because it's security, it's disease. Look what happened with when all these kids were allowed to come over. You had all sorts of disease breaking out all over the place, John.
That's right.
And they hushed that up. They hushed it up.
I mean, up here on Long Island where I live, Kerry.
Yeah.
We have this really poor school district that's overcrowded and a mess called a Hempstead School District.
Oh, yes.
It's a lot of minority students and not enough teachers and a lot of crime and bad stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Very quietly in the fall, a whole bunch of those Central American kids were moved into this community and plopped down into the Hempstead School District.
Yeah,
which is incapable of educating them, doesn't have the money, doesn't have the language skill, none of it. It's a disaster. And this is going on in communities all over America, and the media doesn't seem to care anymore about it, doesn't get any coverage. It's terribly disruptive, and American students are suffering because of it.
Yeah, yep. And, hey, it seems to be the new American dream. Come leech off of the taxpayer. And
I don't blame the people for coming. Let's remember, this was a law passed in 2008, signed by President George W. Bush, that took the three countries, El Salvador, Guatemala, and whatever, and said children in those three countries can come here if they feel persecuted. Bang! Right away, the migration began.
Great.
Yeah. So both parties were part of this thing, Kerry.
Oh, hey, I'm not. Believe me, I have no love for the Republican establishment, as we call them.
No, I know. Yep.
They're equally, two crime families. Hey, John, you got some time to stick around and talk about our erstwhile mayor of the city of New York?
We got to do it. Absolutely.
Yeah, we got to talk about him. So, hey, listening to the Financial Survival Network, stick around. We're going to be talking about the mayor of New York and his deteriorating poll numbers, relationship with the police department, and his ability to lead.
FSN Radio. It's all about what's next.
Every week the show is growing. Would you like to be a part of it? Then go to clubfsn.com and help support us with $1, $2, $5, or $10 a month and get a host of premium content with newsletters dropped into your mailbox, free books, private audio clips, webinars, and much more. Then join clubfsn.com. If you want to get ahead of the trend and ensure your family's financial security before it's too late, go to clubfsn.com and sign up.
The Financial Survival Network. It's all about what's next.
And you're listening to the Financial Survival Network. Former Congressman John Leboutillier is with us. And John, so words alone, difficult to describe the leadership style or non-style of Comrade Wilhelm or deBlasio or whatever you want to call this. He's got more names than the president. He's got more names than the president. You know that?
That's right. That's right. And he changed his name to his mother's maiden name, but his real name was last name was Wilhelm. And I guess he didn't have a good relationship with his father, so he changed his name. But the bigger problem he's got now is he doesn't have a good relationship with the New York City police because he has cozied up to Al Sharpton. And if you think back to 9/11 and the role of the police and the firefighters in New York City, they were the heroes of the country. And the idea that 13 years later, the new mayor of New York City would demonize police and side with a rabble-rouser, shakedown artist like Al Sharpton is just a disgrace. And it may very well cost deBlasio his career.
We can only hope.
You could easily see him losing in 2015.
Next.
No, 2017. No,
2017.
He's got three more.
He was just elected, right? So this is his second year. He just got
He was elected in 2013.
So
he'll 14, be up in 2017.
15. Yeah, 15. Okay, right.
So he's got 2 more years from this coming fall.
Right.
And he'll get renominated, I would think. But reelected, I could see, even though it's a very Democratic and liberal city, I could see the next version of a Rudy Giuliani coming along and running again, and it might be Ray Kelly, the former police commissioner, running against deBlasio and Sharpton as if they're a ticket.
Yeah.
And you could run against them and really nail them.
What was the guy's name who ran against deBlasio last time? I can't remember his name.
Oh, he was terrible. John Castanedes. He was a terrible candidate. Yeah. Or no, was he lost the primary?
No, he lost.
It was Joe Loda. Joe Loda, another terrible candidate who had no business. But the Republicans weren't going to win last year. That was clear.
No.
In 2013, the Democrats were winning the mayoralty. When things are pretty good in New York, it's a Democratic city.
Mm-hmm.
When there's distress, then the Republicans have a chance. So when Dinkins ran the city into being Calcutta on the Hudson, along came Rudy Giuliani and got in.
Calcutta on the Hudson. You nailed it. That's what it was.
Yeah, and then when Rudy ushered us through 9/11 and thus handed the baton to Bloomberg, who in those days was running as a Republican.
And it was a normal guy then, too. He was normal.
Yeah, little did people know that he was a huge left-winger, but with so much money that he could buy off the Republicans and everybody else, and he had 3 terms. So now with him gone, and he got the city, Rudy got the city straightened out on crime and 9/11. And then Bloomberg got the books in order, and everything was good. So now, got everything, building, everything's going well. Obviously, the city's going to then say, okay, we're in good shape, let's elect a liberal. And the liberal comes in and is already running it into the ground again.
I predicted bankruptcy in 3 years. I think it's probably a year off because this guy, I don't think he could balance his own checkbook. He can't even get up. He can't wake up.
Yeah. He misses public events because he oversleeps in the morning. I've never heard of such a thing.
Yeah,
I remember kids in boarding school oversleeping when they were 14, but grown men.
Yeah, that was too much. I forget what flight it was, the American Airlines flight that crashed in Far Rockaway. They're having a 9 a.m. moment of silence, and he says, "I'm going to be late. Can you put it off?" And look, it's the moment of silence when the plane crashed. How can we put the thing off? How can we delay it? And the guy is always late. He's a disorganized mind, awful, politically tone deaf. And he's just losing votes by the truckload now.
Oh, my God, yeah.
Boatload.
The turning point, Kerry, was 2 Saturdays ago when those 2 police officers were murdered in their car. It took your breath away.
Yeah.
And the funerals have been so moving. And then the cops turning their backs on deBlasio. I'll tell you, we have a very serious situation here. I've never seen it before where the chief executive of a government entity, the key enforcement arm of that entity, in this case the police, turning its back to the chief executive. It'd be like if you're the president and the military wouldn't salute you and actually turn their back to you.
Well,
oh my God, it's shocking.
Well, it's insane. He's responsible. He is the guy who's responsible for the police department. You can't go belittling them and disparaging them when you're responsible for them, when they're your police department and cavorting with the likes of that the dregs of humanity, Al Sharpton, and then expect these guys to like you. And, he has no business doing it. It's his police department. He owns them. He owns it. And then to be shocked that they're doing this and then to lash out against them when they do it rather than keeping his damn mouth shut shows he's definitely not the brightest bulb on the tree. And, I think you're right. He's pretty much doomed, one term and, unless they can find something to get rid of him before that, which sounds unlikely. But God, the guy is he's incorrigible.
But Kerry, it has bigger ramifications, I think, because he's a super liberal who's sort of very influential because he's the mayor of New York City. in the Democratic Party, both in New York State and nationally.
Oh, yeah.
And therefore, his failure and this behavior of his bleeds nationally into other things. And if the Democrats end up looking like they're at war with the police because of Ferguson and because of this thing in New York, they're going to be in some trouble. The country generally supports the police. They all know there are abuses. We've seen them on these videos where a particular cop goes crazy. We know it happens. But you can't trash all the police with one label. It's not fair.
Especially as Ferguson turned out, where, they didn't indict him, and the facts certainly came out well in favor of Darren Wilson. I mean, I had a guy on who was a former cop. He said if Wilson did anything wrong, it was that he should have backed up the truck, the SUV, gotten out of there with his gun, put the truck between him and the guys because they had committed a robbery. That was his main mistake, was that he didn't use enough force early on so that he had to use force later on. But, it was political correctness that effectively put him in the situation. But aside from that, the rest of it turned out the way it did because of Michael Brown's actions of attacking him. And it's really that simple. But nobody wanted to hear the truth.
What I heard on the news a couple hours ago was that there's some people out in Missouri pushing for a new grand jury to relook at this whole thing, which won't happen. But they won't let it go. They can't stand the thought that their narrative, which is, an unarmed teenage boy was shot and killed by a police officer.
The gentle giant
who had just robbed a store, beaten the hell out of the store owner, cast him aside like a rag doll.
Yeah, right.
And marched in there, stolen cigars. And why would an 18-year-old kid steal cigars? The answer is they hollow out the cigars, load dope in there, and smoke it.
Yeah. Exactly.
And so this is wonderful that he's stealing. So I saw this awful Piers Morgan on TV the other night, defending this kid, attacking the whole Ferguson thing. And he said, okay, so they smoked a little drugs. He was stealing a few cigars or cigarettes. What's the big deal, he says. Really? You want some hulking monster to come into your place of business that you own, have him come and physically take you and throw you to the side, steal some of your merchandise and walk out? You're going to excuse this as not a big deal? Man, I tell you, these liberals are just crazy.
Yeah, let it happen to him. All of a sudden, he'll be a real gun nut himself. And, he's just a reprehensible human being, that Piers Morgan. And, there's a reason he lost his show, even on a liberal network like that. Even the liberals couldn't take him. And let's face it, I won't say that Michael Brown got what he deserved, but he set the thing in motion. And you screw around with the cops, you threaten them, you attack them, and hey, you don't know what's going to happen. I mean, when I was a kid, you did what they told you to do.
That's the message. Do what the police tell you. You can argue later about it. Yeah. If they tell you to lie down, sit down, hold your hand, just do what they tell you. They've got the force, you don't.
Exactly. And, hey, they've got it. Hey, John, your website, Fox News appearances.
JohnLeboutillier.com. JohnLeboutillier.com, and we're the Political Insiders every Sunday night, 7:30 to 8 East Coast time, live on the Fox News channel.
All right. And
thank you, Kerry.
Hey,
Happy New Year.
Hey, Happy New Year to you too. You find John's links on the financialsurvivalnetwork.com. Just check it out and sign up for a newsletter. And John, we'll talk to you again soon. Great catching up with you.
Thank you, Kerry. Thank you. Happy New Year.
FSN Radio. It's all about what's next. Go to financialsurvivalnetwork.com and sign up for your free weekly newsletter. You'll also get 3 free reports. The Financial Survival Network. It's all about what's next.